Black Podcast presents the season of Halloween.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum Podcast. I am Ryan from Cultsploitation.com, and I'm here with my co-host, Martin.
How's it going?
And we are back to finish out the season of Halloween on this podcast.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
I know, I can't believe we've already reached the end. We went through nearly every single Halloween movie in this past 2 months.
We only missed H2O.
And I mean, we only missed it because we've already done it. So I actually watched it myself. I watched it, so I watched every single one in order. We skipped over Rob Zombies, which don't even really require a mention. If you can listen to our episodes on them if you want, but just know that we don't like either of them very much at all. So there's that. So that's why we didn't even bother with those. So we did every single one of them, all culminating, leading up to the big one. The one that's been announced for a couple years now, been in production, getting everybody excited for it, and it's finally here. The Grand Halloween 2018.
Or just Halloween.
But if you call it by just Halloween, that gets super confusing, right? I don't know why they decided they were like...
I do.
What?
Money.
Yeah, I guess. But it was just like... now
keep it simple. Don't, again,
I would have even been okay with just like them going with Halloween 2018. That would have been fine with me.
Why not Halloween H218... Resurrection, Old Folks Home Sanitarium.
No Loomis.
Yeah, put that in.
Yeah. Parentheses, no Loomis.
No Loomis or Paul Rudd.
Yeah, that's true too. The other thing, yeah, they could have done like Halloween H4O, but then you really have negative connotations if you listen to our previous episode on Halloween H2O, you'll know that we just didn't like that one very much at all either. It doesn't hold up to scrutiny.
Well, everyone makes fun of the name for Halloween H2O too.
You know what though?
Halloween H2O 20 years later, like...
Yeah, my wife's mother's boyfriend loves that name, H2O. He was like, that's so clever. So he loves it. But I think most people do make fun of it.
He seems like he would be the person to say that.
Yeah, he loves it.
Oh God.
The only thing I think it is kind of fun to refer to Halloween 2018 as H4O as well, just because now it's out there.
No, stop.
I think it's fun.
No.
I'm doing it.
No, don't do this.
Yeah, but can you believe that tomorrow, and we're recording this on October 25th. October 24th, I'm sorry. Tomorrow is October 25th, and that is the day, literally to the day.
The 40th anniversary.
That is the 40th anniversary. And we're going to be posting this episode for tomorrow, so it'll be up on Halloween's 40th anniversary.
We're true fans.
That's right.
We don't, we're not jumping the gun.
I just got my Trick or Treat Halloween 3 pumpkin mask too, from my Halloween party.
Yeah, you got it from Silver Shamrock.
Yeah, technically, it's got the Silver Shamrock button on it. I'm afraid I'm staying away from TVs on Halloween night.
You haven't heard every 7 more days till Halloween, Halloween, Halloween.
I do kind of wish that some stations would just pull that out. Just pull that to play like during commercial breaks. That'd be kind of fun, right?
It'd be fun, but ad space is so valuable these days.
I know.
I
know.
They would never.
Someone at AMC was just like, yeah, let's throw that on during a commercial break just for fun. I mean,
I could see like Adult Swim doing it.
Probably something like that. Yeah.
It does come off. It does come off as very Tim and Eric-y.
They don't really care either. Like with ad space, like they I don't know if they still do, but they used to always have just those like text blocks that they'd play before and after they were going to a commercial break, and they didn't really care that it took up probably a minute of their ad block space.
Well, it's probably also too because they're like, well, we didn't have this episode of Harvey Birdman didn't go long enough, so we gotta
fill with something.
Pad it.
That's true. All right, but we're here to talk about Halloween 2018, and I guess we'll start off in this intro by just talking about our expectations for the film. I honestly was not really expecting a whole lot. I was excited for Halloween 2018, but I thought it was in good hands too. David Gordon Green, Danny McBride. I know, like when you hear Danny McBride, you're thinking, he just writes a lot of comedies. He's in comedic stuff. He's a comedy actor. But at the same time, he has done a lot of great stuff that's not so comedic too, or more dark in scope. So I knew that there was a possibility it could go wrong, but also a good possibility that he could come up with something great for the Halloween legacy. So I would say that my expectations were tempered. I wasn't like super excited thinking this was going to be the greatest movie I've ever seen, but I also thought it could be a fairly good movie that wouldn't, and at this point in time, movies that are like this that hit theaters, they tend not to suffer from the 90s syndrome of films that were like, just pushed out there really quickly, with a low budget and just like pushed out to make money. Obviously, Halloween 2018 was pushed out to make money. They obviously did make a lot of money. They made like $70 million in the opening weekend, making back far more than their even budget.
I think they broke Venom's record.
Yeah.
So it was over 80 million.
And, obviously it was there to make money, but at the same time, it was also clear that it's from people who really love the genre, love the legacy of Halloween. I guess you could say that too about H2O, though. I mean, at the time, that was sort of taken over as a money-making scheme primarily, but also just from somebody who loves the slasher genre. Because you had Kevin Williamson on.
I honestly think it was...
Do you think like they were just like,
no,
you know what?
Paycheck.
Yeah, you know what, Kevin? Just write something. Just put something down.
Take Scream and slap Halloween on it.
It's true.
That's, again, as we talked about with H2O and when we did 90 Slasher Month, that's outside the faculty, which is its own little entity in of itself. Mm-hmm. That was the formula. What was the most popular slasher film in the 90s? Scream. Take Scream, do something different, slightly different with it. Mm-hmm. So I know what you did last summer. Meat Hook. Mm-hmm. Halloween H2O, just Michael Myers instead of Ghostface.
And a lot of them were like sort of toned down the meta.
Yeah.
We're not looking for that for our audiences.
Urban legend? Just throw wacky legends in there that don't...
Tara Reid giving sex advice.
Yeah, about swallowing.
And before I will say too, I kind of want to revisit 90s Slasher Month, because I think we've got a whole lot more that we could do. I wanted, and this will be for far in the future, probably into like January, February, something like that. But I would like to revisit it.
Sure.
Just putting that out there.
There was a movie I saw, I can't remember, it's getting a little off topic. There's one movie I saw the other day, and I can't remember what the hell it was, but I was like, why the hell didn't we do that? That would have been a good one to do.
We'll have to think about it. Think about it and try to remember. Because I'm not right from that description, that very descriptive.
No, I know. Final Destination.
Oh, yeah. It's I think that was 2000, though. I think that's why.
Wow.
We did do Jeepers Creepers, and we kind of cheated on that one, but I'm pretty sure that Final Destination was in the 2000s.
Well, I was going to say, 90 Slasher Month bleeds into like 2002.
It's true. Yeah, it was 2000. It was 2000 on the nose. So that's probably why. But we could look, or maybe we do an 00 Slasher Month next time.
No, I think going from 95 to 90 to 2002 is a good one.
We could fuck around with 80s Slasher Month.
It would never end. It would just be fun.
I'm just saying, yeah, we do. But all right, we're way off topic here. Getting back to what I was talking about. So, do you think that Halloween 2018 was primarily a cash grab in the same way that H2O was? And I'm talking about this from a perspective of you going into the film, not having seen the film. So think about it before you saw the film. What was your opinion on that?
Yes and no. Yes, in the fact, and I'd kind of backtrack a little, to kind of talk about expectations first. My expectations for the film were none. I didn't think it was going to be bad, but at the same time, I just wanted to have no expectations because I didn't want to get my hopes up, and or go in like overly negative and critical. This is going to be a piece of shit.
It was really hard to do that too, to stay like expectation free, because it was once you got to September, October, it's everywhere. It's on the cover of Entertainment Weekly. Fangoria puts out a magazine about it. Birth Movies, Death, and Mondo put out a magazine about it. Even Parade, that comes in my mom's, the newspaper my mom works for. It's like just this little old person magazine had fucking Jamie Lee Curtis on the cover with an Activia yogurt or something like that. So everywhere was
luckily I was only getting bombarded because I don't get any of that crap. I was just getting bombarded on Facebook with the trailer. And the trailer did look like, okay, this looks like it's going to be interesting,
Yep.
A retread of the original idea, yes. But at the same time, it's kind of the only place where if you're going to do a film that's technically a sequel to the first one where you have to go. You can't really try it like anything outrageously new. You kind of have to hit the reset button. So again, this is one of those films that falls into the remake, sequel, you know, where it's a remake, but it's also a sequel.
Pretty sure that Fangoria even uses this term requel now. I don't know.
I had my own word for it. I've used 1,000 times. I'm drawing a blank. But
Resequel.
Resequel. Yeah, where it's just everything combined into one, which I was fine with because, like I said, if they tried anything out too far outside the box, it would probably not do well. And all they would have to really do is kind of take those common tropes, but then in certain areas subvert them to work. That's why a lot of people loved The Force Awakens when it first came out, because it's basically a New Hope, except they subverted some things. Like, we have a female hero this time, and what happens to Han in that film, and some other things. So, that's mainly what I expected. I did think the trailer was good. You know, it didn't get me really pumped up or anything, but I thought it looked really good. I really liked the movie poster. That looked awesome. I like just like how old and weathered the mask looked. You know, that's what Rob Zombie's Halloween poster should have looked like, not some fucking hulking asshole with like a knife, you know, and a wife beater. But no, the poster, you know, that was awesome. But for the most part, my expectations, like you, they were tempered because I didn't want to go in too negative to have like a negative lens. But at the same time, I didn't think anything highly of it because usually, again, it's a very wishy-washy type thing. So that case about going off of if it was a cash grab, yes, obviously, because if it wasn't a cash grab, this would just be its own little film and not a Halloween film. So obviously they're looking to cash in on Halloween's, you know, cachet. Mm-hmm. And the fact that it's 40 years now, even better, perfect time to put it out. However, at the same time, knowing the people that were working on this film and the budget that it had, is definitely a passion project too. Mm-hmm. So you got best of both worlds. Yeah, obviously they're trying to make money, but it's also a passion project. So hopefully those people that work on it are going to put that same passion into it to make a product and a film and a piece of art that's, you know, entertaining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and that's, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, both of our expectations were pretty, you know, we were grounded, I would say. There wasn't anything like, no one was high-flying, expecting the world going into this film. So it's kind of like the place to be. That's where I like to be now all the time. Even though that I write for a horror website and I try to stay abreast of like what's coming out in horror, I also don't really go out of my way to like watch trailers anymore.
No, I don't either.
I mean, I will if it's like presented to me, but I just don't go out of my way.
Especially with like things I really want to get into.
Right.
So like Red Dead 2, I've like outside like the main trailers, I've avoided like all the gameplay trailers, like showing what's going on and all that type of crap. I don't want to know. Because I'm already excited and pumped up for it, you know. And you know, with like Rockstar, they don't ever fuck up.
Yeah, you're just ready.
So I'm ready. I just can't wait.
You just don't want to.
I already have my own set expectations. I don't need them, you know, fueling the fire. They already have my money.
Yep.
Halloween, it's the same thing. Like, it may be crappy, but I've seen them all, so you're gonna get my money either way. So.
Yep. All right, let's take a break real quick, and we'll go into, because we do actually have a beer today.
We haven't been lazy.
I know. Last week we didn't have anything, so we just did the podcast straight through. We're just like, all right, fuck the intro, fuck the beer talk. We're just gonna talk completely about Halloween Resurrection because we had so much to say. This time we do actually have a beer on the show, and we got a new one for you. One that came out as a new pilot batch series from Jenny Brewing Company. So this one is the Brew House Pilot Batch number 12, as Martin cracks into another one. We haven't had all 12 of the Pilot Batch, but we've had close to all of them.
There's, I think, only like 2 I don't think I've had.
Some didn't come around.
Yeah.
Right?
They do release more that are just at the brew house. Like, they didn't release in 6-packs or 4-packs, kind of like, like they had Imperial Cream Ale.
Yep.
And like,
no, you had that one.
No, it was like an Imperial, like, honey cream ale or something. It was like a hibiscus, something. Because
it was a special one at the brewery
that they just had at the brew house. But out of the ones they have released in 4-packs or 6-packs, I've had just about all of them except like 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Pilsner's like the one I can think of off the top of my head couldn't get my hands on.
We've tried to get them all to try every single one of them. And the Juicy IPA is their newest one.
Which, by the way, sidebar here. For those of you not to know, a Juicy IPA is a New England IPA.
Yeah, it's the New England style, which has pretty much come to be considered what tastes like citrusy juiciness that's hazy as well.
The 2018 beer style of the year.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, here's the other sidebar. Pick a fucking nomenclature. Is it a Juicy IPA? Is it a hazy IPA?
Yeah.
Or is it a NIPA? Personally, just call it a fucking NIPA. Sam Adams and them, they beat you to the punch on this one.
Yeah?
You know, I don't know if they're the first ones, but they're the ones that have really made it popular. At least in our area. You know.
Yep.
That's the first New England IPA I remember, you know, seeing and tasting. So maybe a smaller brewer may beat them to the punch, but it's all about, you know, who wins that marketing battle, and they've won it. Call it a fucking NIPA. You know, even if it's out like from California or whatever. I don't really like it being called like a Juicy IPA or a hazy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Just call it a NIPA for God's sake.
I agree.
Pick a nomenclature and stick to it.
So this Juicy IPA is filled with Simcoe, Crystal, Cascade, and Amarillo hops, which if you've had other Juicy IPAs or NIPAs before, pretty standard batch of hops to put in those brews. It's what you're really going to get the citrusy flavors out of, the juiciness
now,
of
which
an IPA.
one? Now, you would know better than I. Which one of these is like the more citrusy one?
I would say the Cascade.
And the Amarillo? Because I don't think I've ever had a beer, at least off the top of my head, because I've had plenty of IPAs with Simcoe and Crystal and Cascade hops.
Yeah, I think the Cascade is one of the ones that's going to give most of the citrus flavor. I don't know about Amarillo, because I don't think I've ever had Amarillo hops singly. You know what I mean?
Like that's what creates the hazy color.
Could be. Whatever the case, or however it's hopped, and I'm not a brew chemist, so I don't really know much about it. It does create that hazy quality to it, and you do get that very full, juicy flavor. I think the Juicy IPAs are meant to sort of overpower the regular bitterness of a hop unit. Like you're getting a lot of that citrus that sort of calms the bitterness of it. I think that's fairly true of this Juicy IPA.
I would disagree.
You think it's still bitter?
I think this is still pretty hoppy.
It is hoppy.
Not a bad thing, but I will say, out of all the NIPAs, Juicy IPA, hazy, whatever the fuck.
Yep.
This is definitely the juiciest.
Yeah?
This actually does taste pretty citrusy sweet. Not like, cause we've had like a more citrusy IPAs on here before, like Saranac's Tropical Storm IPA, which is like a nice grapefruity IPA. Mm-hmm. This one's like, real, like it's like you're eating a Starburst kind of, not like in the sugary quality, but like that, like ooh, juicy, like juiciness, like flavor.
Yeah.
Which is weird. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I think I'll have to have like a couple 4-packs to be honest with you, kind of make a final decision. But it's kind of a weird. Now I sound like you, Jesus.
Hiccuping.
Yeah.
Weird little.
But it's like just like a weird combo. I mean, I think it pairs well because I do like citrusy IPA. I do like, you know, like grapefruit and more orange, you know, more of a citrus background in my IPAs. But it's just weird just because how juicy overall it tastes, which that does fit well for this beer. I just prefer the NIPA nomenclature. So
I just had a hazy beer yesterday. It was done by Brewdog. And I would say it was just a tad bit better than this Juicy IPA. Not that this one is bad at all. Just that I felt like they balanced the juiciness and the hop bitterness a little bit better than in this one.
Because even because I had on Monday a couple of Sam's NIPAs at a barbecue place around here for wing night. And I would say that's not really that. I mean, it's got a little bit of citrus to it, but it's not very citrus. It's just more tastes like an IPA that's kind of hazy. Mm-hmm. You know, which I'm fine with, but I mean.
Right. Yeah, I think that this one is good. I've had better Juicy IPAs or NIPAs or whatever you want to call them. But I still think it's a pretty solid beer, especially coming from Jenny, who doesn't generally make IPAs. It's not really something that they do. I mean, they've done a few now in the past. They've done a Smash,
A Simcoe Smash.
Yep,
as
Simcoe
well.
Smash.
Because I think their first Smash beer was just a Cascade.
Oh yeah.
I think, if I remember for the hop in it. But then they had a Simcoe Smash, which was for the Simcoe hop. They do have a standard IPA out for their Brewhouse series, which is good, but nothing like to write home about compared to their other Brewhouse beers. So they've dabbled every now and then. But honestly, I kind of like with Ommegang, I don't really like when they branch out from Belgian beers. Like, that's your wheelhouse, and you do it so perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Just stick to that. So when they come out with these weird hybrid smoked porter bullshit, it's like, this is not what I want from you.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the same with Genesee. As much as they're one of my favorite brewers, and I love their beer, stick to more like German style, like Pilsners and Lagers and Scotch Ale, like stuff like that. It's more in your wheelhouse. So when they announced today that one of the their new winter seasonal that they're going to be doing, because now they're going to have a seasonal for every year, they're having a Schwartz beer. That's great.
Super excited.
I can't wait. Can looks amazing.
Yeah, can looks awesome.
Looks beautiful. And the way they nailed their Oktoberfest and their Ruby Red, it's going to be great. It's like, who gives a shit about the Bock anymore? Mm-hmm. Used to be their only seasonal beer. They just released it in the spring. Now it's like, they're on a roll. They know what they're doing. So.
Yeah. I'm excited for the Schwartz beer. We'll have it on here when we can get it.
Oh, don't worry. I'll be hunting it down.
Yeah. Hopefully soon.
But yeah, I would say if you find it, try it. It's just... And if you can't find it, just try other different juicy IPAs or hazy IPAs and IPAs. See what you think. Again, I've said plenty of times in here before that I'm fucking sick and tired of IPAs. Well, that starting to expire. I'm kind of getting back more into feeling more up to them. Not like always going for them, but because I love my variety of beer. But
you'll give them a shot.
I'm more open to now trying new things. Again, as I said, like every year, it's getting harder and harder for them to fucking reinvent the wheel. You can only do so much, but as long as they probably keep discovering new fucking hops and cross-pollinating and stuff like that, they'll forever be doing it. So who knows what next year will bring? But apparently, this is the style of the year.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. All right, let's get into Halloween 2018. We got a lot to talk about.
It's going to be a doozy of an episode.
All right, we got a lot to talk about. I think I did write down, and we did this for Cultsploitation. Michael and I did a little list of... Huh?
Michael Myers?
Yes.
That's what he's been doing in his spare time.
Yeah, he's been writing for Cultsploitation.
He blogs, That's why he's quiet. He's just keeping all his thoughts to himself so he can just write away,
That's right.
By the way, one thing that's going to date this film in like 10 years probably, or 15, podcasting.
Yeah, I did think about that. It's funny that you brought it up. We'll talk about it.
I don't know why they couldn't just say like, why they're just investigative journalists. Like, no.
Oh, and you know what we should start out with? Just real quick. If you're listening right now, you should expect spoilers. We're going to have spoilers in this episode. It's hard not to talk about spoilers. And generally, hopefully, you've seen the film by now.
If you haven't,
listening to this,
and if you haven't, go see it.
Exactly, but from this point on, there's going to be spoilers. So just if you haven't seen it, stop listening right now. You're not gonna like going on forward, and we ruin everything for you. And we don't want to get emails about it. So just stop listening now. All right. So with that said, we'll talk about the podcasters right now. Yeah, let's do it.
So the opening, it's we head back to Smith's Grove, Sanitarium. So one of the words we've been constantly talking about throughout the podcast, being like, ooh, that's
back and forth, Sanitarium, Asylum.
A terribly dated word, but they're sticking to their guns.
Yep.
Place has gotten churched up quite a bit in the past 40 years.
It's not like industrial anymore.
No, it actually looks like an actual hospital.
Yeah, they have people running it too.
Yeah.
This time there's not like a graveyard shift all the time here.
Skeleton crew.
Yeah.
No, but and there's these two British investigative journalists who are podcasters.
I find that, anybody, we could go out and say we're film investigative journalists. And yeah, I mean, where's your credentials though? Investigative journalists.
Well, apparently they must be well known enough to
I'd ask for some credentials myself.
Which I find funny, because I do know there's a podcast for fucking everything. I understand that. But do people really, like, for news, like, stories?
For news stories, no, but I think what they're going for, especially in this case, in 2018, and as you said, it's sort of dated, they're going for, like, that serial aspect, the serial podcast, or...
So it's like Unsolved Mysteries. But
sort of, yeah, exactly. Like, they're going around, and a big thing now on podcasts, too, is, like, murder podcasts. Podcasts about specific murder stories in the news. So I think that's what they're going for. And
they saw How to Make a Murderer, and like, we could do this, but we don't have a camera for
exactly.
it, so we'll just...
Serial, How to Make a Murderer, there's a few there's a lot of different podcasts now.
No, I know, no, I get
that sort of murder thing.
I understand. There's a podcast for everything. I mean, my niche is the only podcast I really listen to is like wrestling podcasts, just because I find them fun and entertaining to listen to. And it helps me keep up on what's going on in the wrestling world. Because when it comes to like WWE, I don't really watch it anymore. I can't be asked to watch 3 hours of Raw. Sorry, just don't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, and I do listen to, like, other, like, historical podcasts. Like, Dan Carlin does a really good one. But, like, just, like, for, like a news, like, type thing,
it's more about the nitty-gritty of a special murder story. Yeah, I think that's what they're going for. And I think you're right, though. That's really going to date this film moving on. Because at some point, podcasting is probably going to be like VHS tapes.
No, of course. Everything eventually,
and I think it is going to date it. But it's funny because I will say that the podcasting element sort of comes off as a little cliche at this point, because it's been done before with this podcasting element of people going out, they're investigative journalists, and they're trying to get a story. I think it was actually done in the Scream TV series that just aired not too long ago about a podcaster who was documenting the murders that happened in the Scream TV show. And so I found that a little cliche, but what you get is podcasters who are there to sort of expose the rest of the Halloween mythology and catch viewers that aren't really following what's happening in the Halloween series. It's there to catch them up and say, oh yeah, remember Halloween 2 through Resurrection? Didn't happen. Rob Zombie's film? In the garbage. We're just going with Halloween 1.
That's from Earth 20, like, like distant Earth, like in the multiverse. We don't talk about it. We don't.
That happened in a different time zone, or a different universe. So,
and we'll talk about the whole how it doesn't connect to Halloween 2 and whether or not we think that's a good idea in a bit.
Right.
But I
think that's what those podcasters are there for at the beginning. Is to say, like, oh yeah, forget about the others. Mm-hmm. We're only talking about Halloween 1.
Look, I think it's a good idea. I just think, like, instead of saying just say we're investigative journalists.
Yeah,
that's fine. We don't need to know.
Because
we don't need to know what paper they work for, right, or what kind of TV show or TV station. The fact that they're nice, just British people, I could just purely assume they work for BBC Three. You know,
yeah.
They're just doing
a nice beat. Yeah,
who cares? But I mean, it is slow, the whole build up, but I do think it's an interesting idea. The only problem I have with the whole approach of it is which I can't be bothered to know the names of those two poor British people.
That's a good question. I don't really know it. I think, it's Aaron and Dana.
Okay,
are the two.
So very bland. You don't need to know names, but. Which they do come off across from the intro of this, like they're going to be our protagonists.
Kind of, yeah.
Like they kind of...
You're following them.
Yeah, because it does follow them for a little bit afterwards. But so Aaron, is a terrible journalist from the way he handles his, trying to coerce...
That's why they're podcasters.
I know, but it's just he's just terrible, just like, Michael. Because when they go out into the yard, there's these little squares where the... inmates of the asylum are allowed to
sort of chained in there like dogs.
Yeah. And they're only allowed to be in that space. They do get their fresh air though, so they're progressive. And you can't enter that square. So he's just slowly creeping up on the square, getting as close as he can, and he's like, Michael, talk to me, Michael. Why'd you kill them, Michael?
Yeah.
What about this? And then he pulls out the mask.
that he got from a favor from the Attorney General's office.
Yeah, so again, apparently got some strings.
Somehow.
But yeah, so like...
The whole...
And then it's like... And just like him yelling at him to answer him, which it does lead into how it goes to the title card. I do like that, but I'm just kind of bitching. This is me being very nitpicky here. It's like... Don't think you're good, I don't know if Walter Cronkite would be,
Yeah. Well, and again, too, that leads us to the whole Dr. Sartain, who...
Not Dr.
non-Dr. Loomis.
Like Arabian Dr. Loomis.
Yeah. Who, at that point, does seem like a little questionable. Because it's like, you're letting this one journalist rile up the entire prison yard of all... He even says... Step lightly, don't underestimate anybody in there. Tie your fucking shoe, Aaron. and then at that point, he lets Aaron go off and just start yelling at Michael Myers.
I almost think there's...
With the mask.
I think from the way it was kind of shot, I mean, it's supposed to be like a fake out, like maybe Michael has psychic powers.
It's supposed to be like the generation of evil. Like, right? Like,
like the man...
Evil is sort of
so
presented.
So like the evil or psychic power, and it's riling up all, the other...
Yeah.
So,
but I'm just surprised that as a doctor, he was like, "Sure, this is fine."
Well,
big deal.
After what we see later on,
right? Exactly, it makes sense. But at the time, you're like questioning him, like, "What kind of doctor would allow this sort of thing?"
Well, he is Sam Loomis's student, so
it's true.
He followed his work, religiously.
I like how even...
So Loomis probably would be like, "Yeah, fucking spook him. Get him to talk. He's a bastard."
Even in that scene, Dana sort of like glances back at Dr. Sartain. He's like, "You okay with this? Like, is this something that we should be doing?" He's like, "Let it go, let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go. It's fine.
See what happens."
The guards have to deal with those prisoners. I'm going back to my office after this. No big deal. The other thing, too, is that the whole prison yard sort of looks like fucking out at Half-Life or something. Like a Half-Life level. You know what I mean? Like with all the blocks, geometric blocks, and there's a yellow line that cuts off the geometric blocks, and yeah, it looks like a Half-Life level.
Looking for lambda signs and physics-based puzzles with the gravity gun. Like, where do I lift this?
So I will say that one of the things that I thought could have been improved about Halloween was this scene, or the lead-up scenes at the beginning of the film that sort of tend, especially with the podcasters, that tend to bog down the first half of the film. The podcasters themselves, I feel like really, though they're like fodder, basically, they generally end up being fodder. They don't really add enough to the film besides giving the audience a catch-up. Like, if you weren't following along with Halloween and you didn't know when you went into it, disregard all the rest of the sequels, they're a good fit for you because they're going to say, they give you all that exposition. Michael, he's been in this prison ever since, and, he doesn't have his mask, and it's kind of leading up to all of that about, this is the mythology behind this Halloween movie. At the same time, I feel like if you didn't follow along with, all of the information that came out about the Halloween film before you went to see it, then that's your fault. And, you didn't do your research, and you either have to go with it and be like, I don't know what's going on. Why didn't, where's the curse of Michael Myers, and why is Paul Rudd's not still here in somewhere showing
Where's
up,
Ant-Man?
Showing up in a sweater and lurking around during Halloween night. But,
well, sidebar, kind of going off of that, because I forgot to have, because I wish we did this the night of, because I would have been full of piss and vinegar.
Yeah.
We saw this movie in a full house.
Yeah.
In our tiny ass little town.
Really surprising. It's never full.
Never happens. I've seen Star Wars films on opening days, like all the Marvel films. Never been that packed. Place was fucking packed.
This was a 9 o'clock show, too.
Yeah. It was a Friday, but still.
Yep.
About 80% of the people in there, kids.
Yeah.
Teenagers. This has got to be one of the worst experiences in a movie theater ever. And Ryan can attest to it. There was so much just loud, I felt like, I seriously did feel like it felt like an old man with like the loud, obnoxious, just people talking. There was one like 8-year-old singing in front of us like, what's going on? And like, shut up. Oh, they're laughing at me. Guy in front of us snoring, passed out. People being loud. There's one part in the film where they're getting ready for like a jump scare, and a guy just goes, "Ah!" Like as loud as he possibly can. Like, geez, it was so terrible.
Yep.
It was so annoying. But that's just our viewing experience in the theater. I'm kind of going off with that because you were saying if you're going to see this film and you're like, what's going on? Shame on you for not knowing. Well, I can almost assume most of the people probably didn't know what the fuck was going on because afterwards we sat around to watch the end credits and we were talking about the film and we're bringing up points. And this one teenager and his girlfriend and his friend are sitting there like, dude, these guys are fucking professional over here talking about this movie. And I go, do you like the movie? He goes, yeah, man, it's really cool. Which I didn't know, like the whole like talking like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure became a thing again. Yeah. It's become a thing. And I was like, have you seen the other ones? Like, nah, dude, haven't seen them at all, bro. Maybe you should go see them. Righteous. Where do I see these films?
Yeah, right.
It's like,
where do you see them?
You're like 16 years, you don't know how to, I'm like, I don't know, bootleg them. Like, it's just internet. It's...
Where do I know, that was a pretty funny question.
That blew my...
Where do I see them? And like, you were going to sit there and be like, oh, I got the address right here. It's www.openlocker.com/ and
you go to, hey, you know what you can do? You go down to the Arterial, you go to Video World and rent a couple of movies.
Yeah, right.
Because they're older, instead of 3 days, you get 5. Remember that?
I know.
Remember those days?
Yeah, it was just kind of funny is like, if it's not on Netflix now, where do you go watch them?
Which I think 4 and 5 have been on Netflix.
They have been, yeah. But the point was that this kid hadn't even seen the original Halloween, so he really had no idea at all what...
I mean, it does make sense, though, for like high school students, because it's also, like, ooh, get,
Yeah.
get to take, go to the movie. But again, I'm just kind of blown away that, like, most of the people in that movie theater were, like, 15 years old.
Yeah, didn't know anything about it.
I got ID'd when we were, like, 20 going to see, like, Jackass 2.
Yeah, it was a miserable experience. I went to see it a second time after that, and I had a much better experience. There was no one in there. It was great. That's the whole thing, too, about, like, not living in a city. And sometimes it is nice to see a film with a big audience.
Well, I think if this film would really work to it, because like seeing Clerks 2, it wasn't a full theater, surprise, it was actually like half full, which is surprising.
Yeah.
But the people's like especially like comedies and horror films, they lend itself to the audience participating with at the proper moments.
Yeah.
This time though, it was just a total shit show, and everyone was just fucking gabbing. Like there are girls behind us going like, "Bitch, you gonna die! Bitch, you don't fucking go in there, you gonna die!" It's like, I wanted to turn around and be like, have you seen Scream 2? This is why you get killed in Scream 2 in the beginning. Because you're talking during the movie, people trying to watch Stab. Don't be that asshole running down the aisleway back and forth with the ghost face mask on and shit. Sit your ass down and watch the goddamn movie.
That's right.
That's my little sidebar, being an old grumpy man turning 30, but
I think, so getting back to that, though, the podcasters, I think they could have cut out the podcasters altogether. You start at the bus crash, you really don't lose that much.
No, because their death is pretty cool.
Their death is pretty cool. And that kind of leads us into the other thing about Halloween, is that though, it does have those moments from the original Halloween that are sort of kills that happen off screen, it's also pretty damn brutal in times. It's a brutal movie that showcases that you don't need the Jason-esque, like, ridiculous props or, crazy kill scenes or environmental kills to make your slasher film. In this case, Michael Myers just basically uses brute force and finds random weapons that he can use on people.
I would love to see someone take some of the kills in this, and especially the one where he goes like walks into the garage and like adds like, "If I had a hammer."
Yeah, right.
Which I did love that because it's like, oh,
yeah, exactly.
Hammer grabs, walks in. Oh, person, dead. Oh, I know that knife.
Yeah, it is. I like this part of the film, that it's brutal when it wants to be, but that it's also not super it's not ridiculous in what Michael's doing. Like, he's not doing things that are out of character. He's not, like, in the sequels doing ridiculous kills just for the sake of it to be creative. The kills...
Like, using a fucking jack pole to stab a guy.
Right, exactly.
Like, shish kebab him.
He's not being outlandish, and there's no... It's not that it's not creative, but it's not it's not ridiculous for the sake of it.
Well, because again, they got rid of Halloween 2. So it's back to basics. What's Michael's motive? He's just an unstoppable, he's just a killing machine. He kills for the sake of killing. Why? Don't know. Don't need to know.
And it's literally, in this film, David Gordon Green makes him into a machine.
Just a total, again, because that's one of the, it's something I wish I didn't see in the trailer. Like the one trailer, like where like he's out on trick-or-treating and the kids run into him, and then you just see him kind of like look down and then like quickly turn and like just robotically, it's kind of like fucking RoboCop, just like,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I like that. It's really cool, and it's, builds on much further than the first film went, but that's something I wish they didn't put into the...
I do think that they ruined some of the elements of this film with the trailer sequence. Like, that whole sequence where where it's a long cut of him walking in, grabbing the hammer, going into the kitchen, straight out of Halloween 2, bludgeoning her with a hammer. All of that was shown in the trailer. It was way too much. They shouldn't have shown that much in the trailer, because then it kind of ruins the whole aspect of seeing it during the movie. But it did cut out the best part of the scene, which is that scene doesn't end there.
Keeps going.
It keeps going with a very long cut of the camera following Michael through the house, through outside the house, by another house, watching another woman straight out of Halloween 2. And it's a great moment that I think works really well, because not only does it have this unbroken view of the violence and butchery that Michael Myers can do, it also really captures Halloween in this film too. Because a lot of times you had with the Halloween sequels, those films were not very good at actually showing that this takes place on Halloween. Sure, they said, it's on Halloween, and Michael Myers is getting out on Halloween. There might have been a couple decorations here and there, or a jack-o'-lantern, but they weren't really good.
Trick-or-treating at 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Trick-or-treating at 1 so that okay, it's Halloween. But they weren't really good at showcasing the actual holiday. Here, though, a lot of stuff takes place before and after Halloween, like the actual trick-or-treat time of Halloween. It does spend a lot of time on the actual Haddonfield trick-or-treat session that you see it like in full. You see all the jack-o'-lanterns. You see kids out trick-or-treating. It's great.
It's actually cold and has...
It's actually cold. They have
leaves, and I think, and I'm stealing from Red Letter Media off this, one of the things that they have in here is actually like a high school Halloween dance.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's
not
smart.
Something that you see often.
As I say, it's smart, because they even said for a film franchise called Halloween, for the most part, it's lacked a lot of Halloween things. It's about goddamn time they did something like that.
I don't believe that this is a regular high school. Haddonfield, Illinois, has this fucking EDM DJ that has a goddamn Frankenstein mixer. I don't believe it. What kind of high school has that? Maybe we're just growing up we grew up in a rural town, but it seems like Haddonfield's in past movies. Haddonfield's a pretty rural town as well.
But they had a college.
They did, but I just don't buy it. I don't buy that this is a real high school. What kind of budget did they have for that goddamn?
Well, no, because as we saw
party?
later when they went to Jamie Lee Curtis's family was at like that restaurant. It's like this fancy restaurant.
True.
And they walk out and it's like, man, that's a busy ass fucking street. And
it doesn't really look like Haddonfield from what we've seen. Especially even when they, like in the original Halloween, where they drive through town and they see the mask store, the costume store that's been broken into by Michael. That stretch seems like very sort of a deserted rural city town.
I would say more like just like a suburban.
Yeah, like suburban town. Whereas what you get now, Haddonfield's really grown up.
One thing we forgot to mention, well, not forgot to, because it'll get mentioned, but I think before we get even thicker into the weeds, after that first scene, you got, the guy yelling, Michael! Cuts to the title card and the credits.
Yeah.
Fuck. We've been bitching about that throughout the entire franchise, like outside of Halloween 1 and 2. Obviously, the first one sets the standard, and then 2, they do the same thing. Everything else is like such a drag. I mean, at least Halloween 3, they did the computer screen.
Yeah, they had their own version of the pumpkin.
But, it's not nowhere near as good as 1 and 2. 4 is just like a fucking cornfield. Like, oh! And then 5 was nothing. And then 6 is just like the most generic early 90s style title card and sequence ever. Here it's like, you got the Halloween and then you got the pumpkin and the credits. But the pumpkin's already rotted. and then slowly coming back to life. So it's taking like the first film, the pumpkin, and then it's slowly melting away, and now it's like getting rebuilt back up. 'Cause it's been 40 years. Fucking great. That's the little attentions to detail that, like, if you're a fan of the again, I said, like, one of the things that you could say is a bad thing about this film is that it panders too much to
all the fans.
They're making a film a safe film, essentially, because they're like, okay, again, like I said, the whole Force Awakens approach is to the same shit, but kind of subvert certain things, so you can, but it works here. Or at least it worked for me. That was awesome. I loved it. And had the Halloween theme, but it's
it was perfect.
It was changed up.
It was a perfect representation of like the original Halloween, and then just changed slightly. Had the same font. Even the font was perfectly spot on to what you would expect from the original Halloween. It was great. It's just a great detail. And that was something that, even if they like had no other mentions of other Halloween films, if they only had that credit sequence, it would have been just perfect as it was. The credit sequence itself is really great. I think it gives everybody a little chill when they see the Halloween credit pop up and then the pumpkin coming back to life. That was an awesome detail that they included in this. One thing I wanted to bring up, and I'm going to kind of go through some of the questions that Michael and I answered on Coldsploitation, that I came up with to try to focus conversation, because sometimes, like, you get into a film, there's so much to talk about in Halloween 2018 that it's like, how do you focus on one thing?
You'd be like doing what we're doing right now, jumping all around.
Exactly, jumping all over the place. So let's focus a little bit. One of the questions that I asked was, what was one of your favorite scenes from this movie?
Ooh, that's a toughie. I guess one of my favorite scenes would be the dinner sequence. So after a little while, we get to see Laurie in all her glory, because the podcasters come and visit her and try to get information from her.
Give her $3,000, which I said was probably this.
I think $5,000.
No, it's $3,000. Saw it twice, so I know. It's $3,000, the same amount that they gave to Laurie, or gave to Jamie Lee to come back to Halloween H2O.
Well, she's probably promised like $3 million. And they're like, we only have like $3,000. She's like, fuck
I'm ready for my money.
Yeah. But yeah, so in this film, we get to follow 3 generations of Strodes. You got Jamie Lee Curtis. You got her daughter,
Karen,
played by Judy Greer.
Yep.
And then her granddaughter, and mainly, though Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter is kind of there, she's not really a focal point until the end. Mm-hmm. It's more the connection. It's more the connection between Jamie Lee Curtis and Allison. And Allison's just made like on a roll, and she's going out with her family and to also introduce her new boyfriend. And they're going to a fancy restaurant to celebrate, and she wanted Grandma to come, but her mom lied to her and said, like, oh, she can't come, she's too busy, even though we've already heard throughout in the film that Karen doesn't really like her mom because of all her psychological trauma that she has and what that she's imprinted onto her because of it. And obviously Allison's dad doesn't like Jamie Lee Curtis either, He kind of seems like he's had probably enough of fighting that fight, and he's just like, fuck it, I'm done with that. So anywho, she's trying to get Jamie Lee Curtis to come to this dinner to celebrate and meet her boyfriend. And her mom lied to her about it, which pisses her off. And though Jamie Lee Curtis says she's not going to come, she does show up because she's, at this point, a shell of a woman. She doesn't like to leave her house. Her house is a compound now.
Yeah.
It's got,
it's got fucking
fence,
searchlights on the front.
Yeah.
It's blocked off. You have to use a code to enter.
Yeah, she looks like somebody who's, waiting for the commies to attack any time now.
Do you think she has a bomb shelter too somewhere in there?
After this film ending, no.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah.
But no. So and we do see and you can feel for Jamie Lee Curtis because she really, as Laurie Strode, she really does show that her mind has been obsessed with Michael Myers for 40 years. That she, and trying to, in fear that he's going to come back to attack her. And so she spent the rest of her life preparing herself and her family for Michael to come back. And she can't really grip with that. And so when she's in public and goes to the diner, to visit them, she's just got done, watching Michael getting transferred out of the sanitarium because they're moving Michael from the sanitarium. And you get to watch her really struggle and then just watch, the conflict that she has within herself. But not only herself, that her family's having with her and not wanting to deal with it, but that her granddaughter being understanding and trying to help her out, and how that whole dynamic works really well for me.
Honestly, though, that scene
that's acting that you would not have seen at all in any of the other Halloween films. That's a layer that's, a lot deeper than any of the films would ever have bothered to gotten to.
I actually felt that scene was pretty interesting, too, because it makes you think, too. Obviously, both Karen and her husband are not being very supportive at all of Laurie in this case. Because, sure, we know that Laurie's been putting people up with, has been doing a lot of bullshit things recently, especially because of her own neuroses. At the same time, though, Michael is, literally being moved on this day. So they're not really,
I don't think they knew about it, though. They didn't know.
I think they did, though, because she says it ran over.
No, because they played the pronoun game.
What do you mean?
Well, they do, the whole, pronoun game. Because they do the same thing, too, when Michael breaks out. She shows up to the house instead of saying Michael Myers is
not
safe.
Really saying, yeah.
She plays the pronoun game of he's gotten away. We have to get ready. And they're who and what? And they don't ever get to explain it. So it's the same thing in that scene too. When she's trying to talk about Michael Myers getting transported, she doesn't say Michael Myers has been transported. He's gonna escape. She plays the pronoun game. So again, why would they have the patience?
I felt like they would know. I felt like they would have known that they would have been transporting him. But regardless, I just felt like they weren't being very supportive of her at all at that point. Although basically that is before you actually find out what Karen's been through. That she's basically been raised in a boot camp of training every single day as a kid.
But it makes sense though. Again, I understand wanting to support Laurie and and what's going on. Thing is though, 25, 30 years of having to deal with that and trying to, I can imagine that you'd be enough's enough.
You're sick. Yeah, you're sick of it.
Obviously you've tried and you can't. Someone else obviously Laurie would have to see an actual therapist. But I can imagine and relate a bit to that as well. Dealing with that and at a certain point being it's. What the fuck do you want me to do?
Yeah. I do like how, bringing up some of the things from that, the film sort of circumvents the way that Michael would normally be viewed in the original Halloween. And so when Allison's at school, she looks out the window, and in the original Halloween, Laurie would have looked out and seen Michael.
That same boring-ass English,
Yeah, PJ Souls is the one that delivers that English line about fate. And she was in the first one. So, but in that scene, though, in the original, Laurie would have looked out and seen Michael. In this one, Allison looks out and sees Laurie. And it's kind of an interesting transition of saying, they're sort of connected. And that's sort of the theme of Halloween 2018 as well, is that predator and prey are sort of connected at this point, especially over 40 years. And that's what Dr. Sartain is really looking to study, is that connection between them is what keeps them going and what keeps, first of all, Laurie still fighting and Michael still alive for whatever reason, even though he shot 6 times and, basically went to prison and has been staring at nothing his entire life. So I do find that really interesting, and I think your scene does bring that up quite a bit, that this is Laurie, she's super damaged. She's damaged her family. She's damaged Karen in some ways. Karen's been able to sort of overcome that with a super goofy husband who jokes about getting peanut butter on his penis. But
Jesus, isn't he low rent? Shit.
He kind of reminds.
William Macy.
Oh yeah,
He's
reminds me.
I mean, he's good, but he does remind me of like they tried to get William Macy, couldn't get him. So
he kind of reminds me of the dudes from Cabin in the Woods, the guys who are placing bets on who's gonna die in the cabin. He has that sort of humor about him. But I think like that whole scene, the dinner scene, is a really good example of something you wouldn't have gotten for sure in H2O, of like a dynamic character study. Because what do you get in H2O? Adam Arkin fucking chewing on something. And Laurie during sex saying, "I want to tell you something. I'm going to kill your boner here. My brother killed my sister." I think I saw this like another review. Would Laurie really call him her brother? Oh, right. Like in this film, she does say quite a bit. My brother. Yeah, and when who's that? That's my brother. I doubt she'd be, Yeah, yeah. I know. I question that as well. You probably would not have familial endearment to him. You'd be like, that's fucking psychopath. That's a shitbag. That's hey, Yeah, but I like your scene. I like the scene that you. I went the more serious thespian route. I was surprised. I thought you were gonna go with like when the kid in the truck gets his head bashed in. I mean, there's but there's there's a lot of good ones. And I don't want to like pick like a killing scene or whatever because and I'll borrow you. Don't pick a killing scene because you're barring me from that too. Well, yes, because we're gonna eventually talk about the killings overall. Pretty sure I didn't pick all right, yeah. Well, so I'm just saying, so you don't, bleed into a different topic, mister. I'm going to ask a question. Yeah, so mine actually goes along with yours. It's not a killing scene, but it is the end scene. Because the end scene has these three generations of Strodes who have now come together, and they're like, I'm sick of this shit. We're fucking done with this, Michael. Like, give it up, and basically they all get their licks in. They get a strike in each. I did, and I really like that. I did really like the whole when Karen I can't she has the gun trying to lure Michael down the stairs, so she's like I can't do it. I almost because did. They almost did make you think that because Judy Greer does play it up. And they did throughout the film sort of make Karen just a little bit annoying. Because don't you love it when Laurie stands up on the stairs and is like, Karen! Basically just saying, shut the fuck up, Karen. Yeah. Just knock it off. Do you think they named her Karen so it could be like the memes, like, shut the fuck up, Karen? Right, you know? Exactly. Because that's basically what they do. Like, Karen's going off, like, I can't find Allison. Can you find Allison? Go out there. Why are you standing there? Why aren't you? And Laurie just stands up and is like, fucking Karen, shut the fuck up, Karen. We'll find her. Yeah, I did like that. I mean, but yeah, she was like. So, what was she playing up like the entire time, being like, "Oh, I don't know if I can do this," right? Or is it just in that moment, like it all clicked for her? I think what happens with Karen is that she's kind of pushed that part of her life aside, and so it takes a little time for her to get back into it. That's been I'm imagining Karen hasn't been doing street fighting on the side the rest of her life since she grew up. You know what I mean? So she joined Fight Club. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like she pushed that aside, and as she's now being chased and hunted by the Shape, she's now sort of coming into that persona of herself that she's kind of pushed away. But yeah, no, that was awesome. When it seemed like she couldn't do it, it's like, no, gotcha, bitch. It was pretty funny. It just made me think of like Chappelle show, like, gotcha, bitch, and just fucking plugs right into it. It was pretty funny because in my theater, when I saw it the second time, people were like, oh man, come on, what do you mean you can't do it? You know what I mean? And it really got them. So it was actually pretty funny. And that's sort of a time when you want people to react to your film like out loud, because it's like, oh man, don't do that. In our scene, it was more like they were just laughing, like for no reason. So, but yeah, that's a great scene as well of her just pretending, and again too, it sort of gets rid of that that issue with female characters in films of being like super weak. There's one scene that I felt like they probably didn't do so hot with that, and that's during the bathroom scene with Aaron and Dana, where Dana is like super. She doesn't do anything. She picks up a crowbar and then holds it close to her as Michael bashes people's brains in and then, snaps her neck against the wall. But now, kind of going off of that, what did you think of Michael dropping the teeth into Yeah, so the teeth was always...
Did you think that's... I mean, that's also in the trailer, you know?
Right. The teeth was something that I saw in the trailer that I was like, I don't like that much at all. Because it felt too Rob Zombie-esque. And it does almost feel like it's a sort of a...
An homage?
Or I don't know if I want to say that word, but like just a reference. I don't want to say that they're giving it like an homage to
it's part
Zombie,
of
but it's a reference to Zombie.
Because, as we talked about, Michael's he's a machine.
Mm-hmm.
He's just on a killing rampage. He doesn't seem like, outside of that one little bit, like he has any interest in putting fear into the hearts of the people that he's stalking.
Not really.
So that whole bit of him doing that is out of character.
Yeah.
For what he is.
Yeah, it's sort of too torture porn-esque for me.
I mean, it's not even that gross, but
right.
like, no, I agree. Like, if he actually had like a sinister character where he's like enjoys, like, because I don't even think like from watching this film, he enjoys what he's doing. He's just hardwired. He's just, you know, like they say, he's like fucking RoboCop walking around half the time, just, you know, stalking Haddonfield. So I don't think, I mean, maybe he does, but from what we see, it's not like anything that's explicitly or said or implied. So that to me did feel, you know.
Yeah, that is an out of place scene, because that one is almost like he enjoys stalking. He really wouldn't at that point. In most other scenes, and some people have referenced, because I did post about it, some people referenced in the first film when he dresses up as Bob with the ghost sheet on. I still don't feel like that's the same.
Yeah, but we even said, like, when we reviewed Halloween, that scene sticks out like a sore thumb. Like,
it is different from the rest of the elements.
Like, it doesn't make sense for him to do that.
I think even in that, though, like, him dropping teeth versus him dressing up so that he can get close to PJ Souls in that scene, two different things. The teeth, not really anything. Like, I mean, he could have just busted down the door and it would have been the same. I don't think that's really toying with the victim in the same way that the ghost sheet is. In the ghost sheet, he's really doing it just to get up there and, you know, trick PJ Souls into thinking that it's Bob. So I think there are two different scenarios that don't.
But even still, I don't think him having a mind to trick is something.
That's true.
Again, like
he would have just walked. If it was, you know,
more like this
character, he should have just walked in there and just stabbed her.
Yeah, no, but which is what this film goes more, because that's not really even explored that much at all in the first film. Like, you could assume from the first film that he would do something like that, because we don't know like what his mindset's like.
True.
But again, from this film, very deliberate when he runs into those two trick-or-treaters and just looks down and like turns like, you know, hammer.
That is a great, though, the way that he does that, turning, seeing the knife and just kind of like, oh yeah, you know, grabbing it. It's very robotic. I like it a lot.
Yeah, same thing with the hammer. No, I love it too. Like, if I didn't mention the scene, you know, the dinner scene that I mentioned, that would be that long, protracted shot would be like my favorite part of the movie, because it's just so well done. But no, like, and I do think it does bring interesting discussion on his motives and stuff. I do enjoy the fact that he's a man now. Mm-hmm. Granted,
there is their talk of evil, like a overpowering evil above him, but
it does leave more question, because Halloween 2 could win out with the same thing, but then, you know, Loomis had to open his goddamn mouth about pagan holidays and, you know, off to the races we go, but, you know. Yeah. But no, I mean, like, so he does seem more like a man in this film, though his strength is questionable for a 60-year-old man.
Well, you know what? He's been working out at the prison. We do see
he doesn't look it, though.
Definitely hit leg day. Because there are quite a few scenes of him pummeling people with his legs or
stomping a head in.
Yes, crushing a skull. He's been doing leg work for sure.
But he doesn't look it, though. No, I mean, it's just...
He just looks like a normally built guy.
But, I mean, like I said, I do like that they went back to, back to basics on, like, he's just a killing machine. Mm-hmm. And I think that works fine, especially because of all the kills he gets in here. It's great. The body count's high in this. It's awesome.
Some happen off screen, which is fine for me, because that's right on par with the original.
Well, you don't need to see them all, as long as you know.
Yeah, exactly. You can feel them all, right? I mean, the one that stands out to me is Dave, who is the stoner boyfriend, and you don't see his kill, but you do see him pretty much knifed to the wall, and you can feel that. I mean, he basically is just...
Did a little black kid die?
No, he gets out.
Oh, he ran. I thought I saw him like pinned to the wall. Like no,
No, that's just Dave. Remember, he said, hey, "Dave, you're gonna get killed if you go up there." And
sure enough,
yeah, he does. Yeah, but I mean, even at the off-screen kills, at least you see them, so you can, you can feel them too. Like, ooh, that sucks. That doesn't look like a good way to die.
How'd you feel about the poor guy walking Allie home after the dance?
I actually, so that is really a funny scene because it seems like that was a direct message to like all the nice guys out there who are like, I'm going to make a move on my friend because she's having a tough time and I think I'm going to be the nice guy and be a hero here. He totally gets rejected. And I think totally rejected, but fucking murdered here.
Well, the nice guy wouldn't even bother to ask. He just
Well, he doesn't, though. I mean, he doesn't ask. He sort of just goes in for it, and then afterwards, he gets the shaft, but not in a good way.
Fortune favors the bold, Ryan. He was being bold, and it didn't.
But it was pretty funny. I mean, I think that's, again, sort of indicative of the culture and the time of nice guys. And it's good. And the one good thing about that scene, too, is that it has the fucking best theme in the film right after it, which we played at the beginning of this episode, The Shape Hunts Allison. That theme is goddamn gold. I think everybody that I've seen talking about this movie has mentioned The Shape Hunts Allison as being the standout theme of this film because it's a reversal of the stalking theme from the original, and it just has so much power behind it played in that scene. It's great.
Yeah, no, I told you as soon as I played, I'm like, oh, they took the stalking theme and they fucking inceptioned it up. It's amazing. Like, with that boom.
Yeah, it's great. I think that really resonates. And the other thing about that theme is that they made sure not to overuse it. Because they use renditions of it, but the actual theme itself, they don't go back to again. So they didn't overuse it. It's just this one really memorable moment in a film. And I think that's great. It's reason why the soundtrack from Cody Carpenter, and Daniel Davies is one of the best soundtracks I've heard in a while. Because they don't overuse themes. They really went with both an homage to the original and then redid some themes. And I think they all turned out really great.
They used the stings at the right moment, too. Like when Lori gets thrown off the roof.
Yep.
Her old ass. You're thinking like, oh, she's dead.
Yeah,
and then like,
and they had they still have those things like.
I don't know. Yeah, no, it's
great.
Yeah, it was great because when Michael goes to check down, she's gone. You hear the like, ooh, you clever girl.
And the cool thing too about
I said, all you have to do is take the film and then subvert it in certain areas. What do they do right there? Lori's the predator, not the prey at this point.
Yeah. The cool thing about the soundtrack too is that it's really almost totally a half of the film. So that means that the soundtrack itself is not overused either. So there's quite a few scenes that don't have a soundtrack or any music at all that is supposed to generate some suspense. Lori going throughout her house with the shotgun, going room to room and closing off every room. That's pretty much just quiet, silent moments where she's just looking for Michael in her house. So it's effective because they didn't overuse the score. I thought they did a really good job. The score is probably one of my favorite elements of this film. Even though everything is really good about the film, the score itself, really dynamic.
Stand out.
Yeah. So another question that I asked, how do you feel about Michael skipping over the baby in the crib in that long scene of him killing between house to house?
Yeah.
Did it stand out to you at all? He didn't kill the baby.
He's got a certain moral fiber, I guess. I don't know.
So
12-year-olds that like to dance instead of hunt, neck snapped. I think it might be more because if they did probably kill the baby, get slapped with like an X rating.
I just feel like Michael has there's no reason for him to kill this baby in this scenario. And throughout Halloween 1 and 2018, we do see Michael make a series of moral judgments. In the first Halloween, he doesn't kill those kids that bump into him that were bullying, what's his name? The little kid.
I think it's also, too, because though he's a killing machine, he does have tact about him. Because he's stalking. So instead of killing those two kids that bump into him, and in this film, he walks off.
He lets it go. Yeah,
grabs a weapon and does it where he's not going to get caught.
Honestly, because if he's a killer, prancing down the street, fucking stabbing everybody,
and just knifing everybody. Yeah, so I don't think it's a moral decision. I think it's more
necessity.
Yeah.
I feel like most, and you can argue this because I don't know about this scene with the two, when he kills the babysitter and stuff. But most of the kills that he does are out of necessity. It's like, you got in my way, and so I'm going to kill you. And then I feel like if he could say something in dialogue form, he'd be like, no, no offense, sorry. I mean, you just got in my way. It'd be like, sort of like a...
But what are they in the way of? What's he trying to do?
Well, I mean, in this film, the motive that they give, and there's not much, is just that he's seeking Laurie again. It's predator and prey.
See, okay, wait, I brought this up to you while we were after the...
You want a motive. You want...
No, I don't know.
Semblance.
No, I don't need to have a motive. In fact, the fact that he doesn't have a motive makes it even creepier. My problem is they're explicitly saying that he's coming back for Laurie. The problem is, though...
If Halloween 2 didn't
happen, why? And the answer, you could be like, well, she's the one that got away. But again, how does he know she's still alive? How does he know, to go back to Haddonfield? How does he know any of that type of stuff?
Agreed.
Did the good old Doc whisper sweet enough? By the way, Laurie's hiding in a compound.
Well, I mean, he does set it up. So.
No, but my point is, he only gets to Laurie at the end of the film because the plot demands it. Which is, surprise, Arabian Loomis, he's crazy too. So he stabs the sheriff in the neck so he can take Michael to the Strode house to meet Laurie to see if anything happens. And you know what happens? They have a fight to kill. Why? Because he's a killing machine. He's not... to me, that it has nothing to do with, well, I gotta kill Laurie. It's more, oh, she's in the way, and now she's trying to kill me.
Yeah.
So there's the tussle. Plot-wise, it doesn't really, like I said, doesn't work for them to be saying, like, well, they're coming back for you. Well, I mean, everyone's telling Laurie that he's not coming back for her, but Laurie believes it, the doctor believes it, and the two journalists believe it. So they're planting in your head the idea that, well, why did Michael break out of the bus? Because he's coming back for Laurie. Which the only thing I can gather from that is, then you have to extrapolate, well, we don't get to see the bus crash, and the doctor was still alive. So the doctor probably had a hand of getting Michael loose, and probably saying something about where Laurie was to give him an idea of where to go.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's creepier if he doesn't have a motive. But if you ruin that with, well, he's trying to kill Laurie, but they're not related anymore, that tied to that motive is very tenuous.
I thinking about it now, I think that, would it have been fine to leave the Halloween 2 he's my brother thing in? Yeah. I think it would have been fine.
Well, I think
the problem with that is that the films end very similarly. So
that's why you can't do it.
Yeah, you can't have Halloween 2 and then have Halloween 2018 that ends very similarly and say this is the one where we kill, in quotes, kill off Michael.
I mean, Halloween 2, I think they could have, so we'll get into this topic of whether or not they should have used Halloween 2. I agree. I think they should have used Halloween 2, but there's nothing wrong with ignoring plot points from Halloween 2. Shit gets retconned all the time, for better or worse. So what could they have done? Totally recognize Halloween 2 and what happens, but retcon out. There wasn't a hospital explosion. Just say he was managed to get subdued by the police or something.
Yeah, or they
and the same thing about his tie to Laurie. Just be like what they said in this film. Oh, it's just a rumor that got made up. If you don't want to have that plot point, like, no, they're not actually related. That's just something that got, people were feeding to the media, to explain what he was doing. You could easily just, bam, just exposit that away, but keep Halloween 2 in place. Because again, as we talked about in that review, one of the great geniuses of Halloween 2, it picks up right after Halloween 1.
Yeah.
So I think it's perfectly fine to include the rest of the night.
I think that I see the motive a little bit better thinking about Dr. Sartain and what he's attempting to do here, and what the theme of the film is that you have this predator and prey.
Don't trust your doctor.
Somewhat, yeah, that too. But you have this predator and prey somewhat, there's also that tenuous connection like 4 and 5 sets out, that there's some psychic connection here, and that you have these two people who have, for pretty much their entire life, been antagonists to each other. And in Halloween 2018, Dr. Sartain wants to see what happens when you put them together. As sort of like, are they like magnets, opposites, or are they both positive charges and they fucking obliterate each other? I think that you have like both of those ideas at play here, and I think that it works with the Doctor. I'm even fine with the Doctor's twist. I'm fine with him not being a Loomis character, because you can't really do that again. You can't have another guy and even Laurie brings it up. She's like, oh, you're the new Loomis. You can't have another Loomis character and just have him be obsessed with Michael in the same manner again.
No, I agree, and I'm fine with that. I'm just saying, the movie's trying to tell you, like, he's just going after Laurie. But nothing really points to that. And it goes against the whole idea that he's just a killing machine. Why is he doing it? He's just a machine, hardwired to just kill.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right, it's more like people who got in the way. Did he have any reason to kill that 12-year-old boy in that truck? No.
But he was there. Might as well.
He had to take the truck, so he just snaps his neck and, throws his body and goes on his merry way.
Yeah.
There's no, so... Which, again, I do find is really progressive of this film.
The dancing kid?
No, the fact that he killed him.
Oh, yeah, and it's sort of shown. Yeah.
Not it's sort of shown, it is. He go up behind him and...
I do feel bad for that kid, though. He needs to get his vocal cords checked.
Maybe that's what Michael is trying to do. Sorry, I thought check your vocal cords.
Check your vocal cords. Too raspy for a 12-year-old boy.
Which that's a nice. That whole bit's like a nice homage to Halloween 4.
Yep.
The whole bus being crashed.
And also Halloween 1 with all the inmates just sort of roaming around, which in itself was an homage to Night of the Living Dead. So you have sort of layers on this one that I like quite a bit. I know you thought that some of they may have done too much to pinpoint all of the different Halloween films, because you do get quite a bit of just, reference after reference after reference.
Well, like I said, I'm fine with it because I think it was done in good taste, and they knew the marks where to hit it. Again, there is no reason for them to have the title card sequence that they had, other than to get people who love Halloween to be like, yeah, you're gonna buy into this now. I'm fine with all the references. Like I said, it's something I knew going in. Like, if it's going to succeed, one of the things it's going to have to do is pander, and it pandered in the right way.
Right. Yeah, because going the other way, there is definitely a risk in just not drawing attention to any of the other films in the series, like with any like Easter eggs, and then you have fans who are like, that didn't seem like they even cared about the Halloween series.
Even like in little things, like when they brought Godzilla over here with Bryan Cranston, which, by the way, where the fuck's that sequel?
Coming.
Well, it's taking too long.
Michael Dougherty works slowly.
It's been like 5 years now, believe it or not.
Just so you know, Michael Dougherty gave up on his Trick or Treat 2 to fucking do Godzilla, so...
even like the little Easter egg in like Godzilla, but like Mothra. Yeah. Does that did that have to be there? No, not at all. It was there though, so I think now, especially with like any property that's got any like a decade on it, they're gonna slap in Easter eggs. So fans are like, see, look what we did. We
acknowledged it.
We are hip. We know about it too.
Right.
I'm sure in like the new Jurassic World movies, they did the same thing, like pandering to like.
Yeah, for sure.
Like having Jeff Goldblum show, like things happen.
Yeah,
certain told you.
Yeah.
What else? What are some other questions you got?
We touched on quite a lot of them because we did we kind of rolled them all into like one question. But one of the other ones that I'd like to pose is, what do you think of Mask?
It's great,
dirtied up mask from the original.
It's the best mask.
It definitely, this mask takes the original mask,
and they weathered the hell out.
Weathered it, but it doesn't affect, like, you know how you have the whiteness that stands out from it's contrasting of the dark. It does like that even better in this one with like the weathering, but then also
better cameras.
Yeah, that's true. But also with this mask, I still feel like they have made the Shape into a suspenseful character.
Stop calling him that.
More so than they did in the sequels, like Halloween 4 and 5. In Halloween 4 and 5, I don't really find Michael Myers scary or menacing. I just find him being like a creepy guy that's like standing in the...
He's just your local bin man. Fucking like traipsing about, hey, what's going on?
In Halloween 2018, he legitimately feels suspenseful. Like the whole scene where Laurie sees him in the mirror, shoots the mirror, doesn't realize it's a mirror. That's a great scene because... Then he's in that other room just like sort of waiting.
Oh, it could have been cool if she actually shot somebody too. Oh, it's like Halloween 2 with like Loomis getting that poor fucking kid killed.
I think they had an homage to Halloween 2 when they had the cop just ram down Michael Myers. He's like, no, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm not taking him into custody.
Well, he was there that night, so he knows.
True. He's not messing around. He's just, if there's a chance to kill Michael, he's taking it. But I like the mask. I think they did a really good job.
What do you think of the whole when he gets the mask after he kills the two podcasters?
I mean, it's a little
hokey.
Yeah. I think so. I think it's
doing their damnedest not to show old man Michael putting that thing on.
And I think it was just sort of another thing where it was like, we need to show him getting his mask. I thought it was sort of cheesy, but I'll accept it. That's basically what I was saying when I was watching it. I was like, I'll accept it.
From the side views, he almost looked like he'd be like a taller Mike Ehrmantraut.
Yeah, sort of. Like, yeah, he's just not as thick of a face.
It's like, all right,
body.
All right, Laurie, it's time to go.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, we pretty much covered most of it. I think, right?
Kills were great.
Yeah, we talked about him a little bit. Kills were
brutal. It's funny too, because he does use a lot of fucking headbanging. Like he's like a metalhead,
Exactly.
It's like that's an homage to Rob Zombie, more of the Rob Zombie style of kills. It felt a lot more. Even like this felt more brutal than Rob Zombie, and Rob Zombies were like more grotesque in the way he did it, but the way because they were so like kind of a little bit over the top with like the gore effect. In the Rob Zombie ones, it was like, it's kind of cheesy. Here, when he's like smashing fucking that guy's head into the stall, I feel it, because it looks like, that's what your face looks like after 5 times getting violently rocked into,
Yeah, and then also it like sort of makes sense, because he doesn't have really a weapon or anything, and you don't want to go like the whole ridiculously creative route where he like grabs a hook off of the door of a stall and rips it off and then stabs it through his eye or something. You want to go for a more realistic approach, like what would Michael do in an environmental scenario where he didn't really have a weapon? Well, he'd probably bash his head into a wall, and I think it makes sense. So they really go with that. They have him cracking necks, breaking necks, smashing people's heads in, and then the occasional stabbing, but there's nothing like really over the top that says like, would a real person do, like
boiling somebody in a hot,
exactly, yeah. Would a person just motivated to kill do something so like something that you might get like sadistic pleasure out of? No, probably not. He doesn't really seem to get pleasure out of what he's doing. He's just doing it. So, he would just do it any way he could. Makes sense.
I guess that's it. I don't really want to talk too much about the ending, except it's a nod up to Halloween 2.
Yeah, and I think for sure we are due a sequel.
Well, we get to see that. Well, we get to see poor Allie holding the knife at the end.
Yeah. I don't know where they're gonna go. I don't know if they want to go what Halloween 4 into 5 was supposed to be.
I can almost guarantee you they're not going to. So?
I
don't think they have the balls
to just excise Michael entirely.
No, because I don't think they have the balls to. As much as
Michelle Myers.
No. I can't do it because I'm sick right now. But I mean, look, that'd be cool. But at the same time, what would be her reason to kill then?
Right.
Like now because she's taken
PTSD.
Well, I was gonna say.
Easy.
I was gonna say now because Well, I'd say like it'd have to be like now that she's got the taste of it. Now, like
stabbing. Yeah.
Like now, like it's like ooh, kind of like how it feels.
Well, then she can just move on to pegging, and she'll be okay. But
so yeah, like I mean, it does leave it open for sequels. Would I like to see a sequel? Unless it's like the same exact team. Probably not.
Oh, yeah, for sure. If they're not coming back with the same team, I really don't have much expectation for a sequel. But if they're coming back with a same team, David Gordon Green, and everybody's writing it again. And I believe the intention was they were going to do a Halloween 1 and 2 similar to Halloween 1 and 2 taking place on the same night. And they had the idea for the second one all prepared, except they didn't want to start filming it because they were like, what if we really fucked up the first one? We don't want to like continue if everybody hated the first one
and didn't make any money.
Exactly. So the idea was that you're not going to finish the second one.
Well, you know what? If they do that, I would be on board with them. Like, yeah. Are you at that point? Are you aping Halloween 2? Absolutely. But again, it's a fucking genius idea.
Yeah.
Keep rolling with it.
Right.
See how
I think that was the intention. I don't know. I mean, now I think we'll definitely get a sequel.
The money it made.
The money.
I don't know. Miramax would be dumb to say, tell them not to make.
I don't know if they're going to go with the same idea that they had, because I know they did significant changes to the ending from what the first ending was to this new one.
Do you know what the original ending was supposed to be?
I believe that
Laurie and
Michael are supposed to die. It's a significantly different ending. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's pretty different, and I know test audiences really did not like it. So they went with this ending.
I can only imagine it had to be like something probably like they both die.
It was like
Laurie and Michael probably die or something.
It was something. It was something definitely different. I can't remember what it was now, but I just know that it didn't really do well at all. So I'm not sure if like they had an idea for that ending that would go into Halloween 2, or if they planned it out so now this new ending could also lead into the idea they had for Halloween 2. But whatever the case, I think we're definitely getting another one, and I won't mind. I think though they should not go with the Saw / Paranormal Activity route of trying to do one a year. I think you take as much time as you need, and if that means that you end up in like the film is finished in like May of 2019, then you just wait until May of 2020. Then you just wait until October 2020. Don't release it for Halloween.
Well, yeah,
but wait until the next Halloween if it's not ready in time. Well, don't rush it out just to get it out.
Well, I would say they'd be stupid. I think that's at least the nice thing with the new Jigsaw. Jigsaw 2 seems like they're taking their sweet time.
Right, yeah. Don't rush it out. You don't need to do one every single year because that's
when you get lazy, cut corners, and like focus on
dilutes it.
Yeah, no. If they don't have this Blumhouse team come back and work on it, probably not going to be interested because so much. Because again, all it takes as we saw with The Last Jedi, all it takes is a director with too much creative control to ride the things off the rails and be like, what happened? So if it was like 3 years from now, I'd be down like possibly to see. But like I said, same creative team behind it, same passion.
And take your time.
Don't get lazy because again, if you're a fan of like I said, this film panders to people who love the Halloween franchise. You'll be able to pick out all the little things in there that send up in cues. And it's also, I do think this film does work well as like a beginning point for people who haven't seen the original. Because I can tell you now, though we'll both be disheartened by it, you show a Ute today, the original, they're going to be bored shitless.
Right, yeah.
It's like when your sister-in-law, just like when your sister-in-law 10 years ago, we were watching Night of the Living Dead at the Halloween party, and she was bitching about how it's boring,
Yep.
So yeah, I can see you're grimacing from that. Yep. So as much as, and that's something we even acknowledged too when we reviewed the original Halloween. As much as we both love it, it is slow. It's a very slow burn. So I can see how today this one, though it's 2 hours long, it is a little bit faster paced. So it does have its slower parts with its because it does have a lot more character development in it than any of the Halloweens combined for your main core cast. I can see how this one's going to be a lot more appealing to, modern day audiences, especially because even though they're R-rated films, who are they targeted towards? 15, 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
So,
all right, so we got to wrap this up, but we got to give our rating. What would you give Halloween 2018 out of 10 banh mi sandwiches?
PB&J ones? Or just...
Yeah, PB&J ones.
Yeah. I'll give it an 8.5.
Okay.
I love this film. It's close to a 9. Close. The score is fantastic. I can't tell you how much I love the score of this film. I think John Carpenter and Cody Carpenter, they do a great job. And again, as you said, and everyone else has said, the stalking theme with Allyson is fucking just amazing. I like, though it's a predictable thing for them to do, they took the original Halloween and some of the ideas from other films and basically just redid them, but they subverted them in the right spots to make it interesting and unique. I like seeing the 3 generations of Strode. Gundam Age, that's how you fucking do it. That's interesting, and they all each have their own character personalities. One being damaged, the other one is actually getting over, their damage, the other one who's getting sucked into it now. I thought the acting throughout was, we didn't really talk about, is damn good. Jamie Lee Curtis is the star of this film. I like to throw the word around. Powerhouse performance in this of, being character that she is in here. In fact, it almost kind of seems like it's just, that's probably who she is these days. Just, after the Activia commercials, just go homes and is the old lady in The Simpsons with the cats, swinging her shotgun around.
Yeah.
This is just, I love how Michael looks in this. I love the mask. I love how it's, gotten weathered over the years. I love how who's the guy that plays Michael in this too, by the way?
Well, it's James Jude Courtney for the most part. But Nick Castle does reprise his role as the original Shape in one scene. So, most of the time it's James Jude Courtney.
This is great. He's not overly tall. He's not this overly hulking, massive piece of shit like in Rob Zombies. But he is still menacing in the way he portrays himself. Again, he's got those robotic movements down spot on, and that adds the terror to it and how he just moves and how he acts. Again, one of the things that, for me, because I like to know, I want to know everything. It is annoying that I don't know what his motive is, despite what the film tries to say about him trying to go after Laurie. I don't think that's his motive, but at the same time, it's one of the most beautiful things ever, because it's now going to have 1,000 different fan and conspiracy theories on what's his motive on this. This is just a great film. This is my second favorite Halloween film now. This is better than Halloween 2, I think. Because Halloween 2, as awesome and creative an idea it is, taking place right after the first film, and it's still got the same the tropes from the first film, like the title card and stuff like that. By that time, when that film was getting made in 1981, they moved into slasher schlock at the time with, girls just running around with their tits and, the stupid way that they get killed. And now Jamie Lee Curtis is running around with makeup and all this other stupid shit that's in the film. Though it's a great film and I really enjoy it, by that time, I even said during that review, it does have very common 80s slasher tropes that it didn't need to have. This film doesn't. This film stands on its own, I think, especially for a decade that's been pretty slasherless in the horror genre. They moved more towards, other things. They've gotten away from the slasher genre outside of Jigsaw. We haven't really seen a really good slasher film. So this one kind of stands on its own. Doesn't reinvent the wheel, just subverts some things. But it works well for what it did, and that's the most typical thing, and something I guess you could say bash about this film, because that's a very 2010s thing. It's taking an old idea, gussing it up for a newer audience, and to please an older audience, but then subverting things to make it, this is new!
Yeah.
So, do that with you will, but again, I really like this, and when you went to go see it a second time, I've never seen a film 2 times in a theater. I would have went to go see it if I didn't sit at home with my parents at my parents' house and watch the Bills get the shit kicked out of them. I should have just went to the goddamn movies.
Yeah. So, the first time I saw it, I would probably have given it an 8. The next time I saw it, I changed my rating to an 8.5. I think it was a really good film. I really enjoyed the score. I like the acting. I like Michael Myers' mask itself. One thing, like I said, I would really get rid of is maybe the first 15 to 20 minutes of the film. Cut that out. I think you'd have a nice 90-minute running time for this movie. You would lessen some of the...
So would you like... sorry to interrupt, because I know we don't like to interrupt.
Yeah.
Reviews. So, just off of that, though, would you just, like, keep the podcasters in, but just have them show up to Lori's house at first, not Michael? Because it doesn't really make sense for that, as we kind of talked about, for them to let them in to talk to a mute...
True.
patient. What would they be like? You're not gonna get any fucking information.
Yeah, I mean,
here.
I feel like I might have cut all of the podcasters and just reorganized some of the opening. I don't think I would have left the podcasters in at all. I think I would have done a little something different in the opening so that it made sense that Michael would be released, but also have his mask. But I would have changed that just a little bit, cut it down, be a 90-minute running time. I think you would have gotten rid of some of the criticisms that the first part of the film is somewhat slow. Other than that, though, the kills are great, brutal, but also off-screen that some of them make really good sense within the Halloween atmosphere. It does have a Halloween atmosphere. Takes place on Halloween, and you can see this one really makes good use of fall leaves and trick-or-treating, all that stuff. I like the long cut. I almost wish that there were more of those. Long takes, long scenes of him.
I can only imagine how many times they had to do that.
No, I know. If you watch The Haunting of Hill House, episode 6 on Netflix, that has basically 4 long cuts that are just the entire episode. Just one long cut, then one long take, then a cut, one long take, then a cut, one long take, then a cut. And it's sort of interesting how those scenes play out in a different manner than like if you had multiple edits and stuff like that, which we're kind of edit happy now.
Is it better than the Copacabana scene from Goodfellas?
Yeah.
That's because when people talk about long takes, that's the gold standard.
Yeah,
the whole going around the Copacabana.
I do love long takes, so I think this one does a really good job. Other than that, I really liked everything else about it. Just cutting down some of that first part of the scenes. I think it would have been a really great film, and all of the references I think work really well.
I can't rave enough about the title cards too.
Yeah, that's great.
That's just
great. I know everybody's going to be blown away when they see that first title card. I think everybody who knows the first one well. I think. All right, we made it through Season of Halloween. We did it. We did them all.
This film made the slog.
Oh yeah, and it definitely was not as bad as doing the Saw films.
Or even 90s slasher month.
Yeah.
Because you know what?
That did also get to be like...
very repetitive.
Yeah.
Because you had the same Dawson's Creek cast just about.
I agree.
Had
a good time.
Like I said, I would gladly go see this again in theaters.
Yeah.
Did you see LeBron James is interested in producing a
Friday the 13th? Yeah, I did.
Yeah, well.
I don't know what that means, but we'll see. So we are going to try to be back sometime next week with another episode before Halloween. Not sure that's going to... I can't promise that it's going to happen. It might happen after Halloween. Not really sure. But we will be back with another episode.
It depends on if a theater around here is going to show. Drum roll.
Are we announcing it?
You might as well, because...
All right, Suspiria. The Suspiria remake. Yeah, we're going to try to fit that in, if we can. Depends on if we can get to a showing of it, which, as far as we know, there's not anywhere showing it right now this when it releases this week. So we'll see what happens. Not guaranteeing anything, but it will definitely be on the show at some point. Either like close to the start of... Either close to Halloween or a little bit after Halloween. Somehow, we'll make it into the schedule.
And if we don't, then fuck it when it's on Blu-ray.
That's right.
That's the downside of living in a tiny town.
Yeah.
They're not going to be showing no 3-hour Italian-American horror film.
Mm-mm. All right. Thanks for listening to our Season of Halloween series. I'm going to post everything on Facebook and Twitter so that you have links to every single episode that we've done this month and the previous month. But just so you know, you can find us on Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts. We are on Podbean as well. So anywhere you can listen to a podcast, it's probably on there. So subscribe, leave us a nice review. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/Blood and Black Rum Podcast.
Show us pictures of your Halloween costume.
Yeah, definitely. We want to see. we're on Twitter as well at Blood and Black Rum. And we have an email address at bloodandblackrumpodcast@gmail.com, so you can write to us and let us know what kind of episodes you want us to do, because we're going to need suggestions for films coming up in the future. And then also we have a Patreon page where you can donate to us for just $1. You get episodes one day early, at least, and hopefully if we get it up in time. Sometimes we don't. Just the nature of the scheduling beast, because we do these right before they are released each week. It's tough to do. So thanks for listening to our season of Halloween. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you have a great Halloween. And also, we hope you go check out Halloween 2018 in theaters, because it's definitely an experience that you should experience.
Take care.